The state of Florida gave out concealed weapons licenses to nearly 300 people who never should have gotten them. And you'll find the reason hard to believe when you hear it. Nightside's Grady Trimble has a copy of that investigation. And Grady, what did you uncover?
This investigation found an employee at the State Department of Agriculture stopped using a national FBI database because she couldn't log into it. You might have seen headlines about this claiming the state didn't background check applicants for more than a year. Now the Department of Agriculture is setting the record straight. It says it did 3 different background checks on all of the applicants. The one employee was supposed to review the applications that didn't pass one of them, called NICS. The Department of Ag says she didn't. That means 365 people who failed this background check got permits. Of those, 291 were eventually revoked because the report said the employee was negligent. Those people could have had a history of drug addiction, of mental health issues. They could have been dishonorably discharged from the military or a number of other things, and they still got concealed carry permits. Here's a timeline of what happened. This is all according to the investigation. In February of 2016, the employee couldn't log into the database. She reached out to FDLE, but nothing got fixed, and she never followed up after that. It wasn't until March of the next year, another employee noticed a problem. The time period when the employee couldn't log in to review the background checks coincides with the Pulse nightclub shooting. Florida had a huge spike in concealed carry permit applications during that time, the most in state history. We reached out to the Department of Agriculture, headed by Adam Putnam, who's running for governor. In a statement, the department said an employee failed to review applicants' non-criminal disqualifying information. It went on, the former employee was both deceitful and negligent, and we immediately launched an investigation and implemented safeguards to ensure this never happens again.
I guess the big question is, whatever happened to that employee?
Well, I called the department several times to ask that. I even emailed them that specific question 2 times tonight. They still haven't answered it, but in all of their statements, they've called her a former employee, so we know she no longer works at the Department of Agriculture.
All right, thank you so much, Grady.